Alright, well, to start off, there's far too much division in my country right now, and it's getting pretty silly. It's just downright dumb, the way that we're acting, and the way that people are treating each other. And I'm looking at you on the left and right. This idea that this paradigm, this left-right paradigm is the normalcy for this country. That we've somehow forced ourselves into thinking that it's normal to every single day think about the past president and future elections, as if Americans shouldn't be preoccupied with doing things that Americans do, right? Like living our lives, going to work, trying to pay our bills, and looking at the price of bread, the price of gas, the cost of childcare, all the promises that have been made over the decades to the people from both parties, and the idea that either one has our interests at heart. So, consider this a summary of a video. I just made a podcast and it was about this topic, but it got kind of long. And then my phone ran out of space, and then right after that my recorder ran out of space. So naturally, as an unfinished podcast, I may or may not upload it because I don't have editing software or any of that. So here I am making kind of a summary of it, and more of a call to arms, and not literal weapons as arms. A call to arms, maybe for hugs, right? I mean, as ridiculous as that sounds, I think that we just need to give each other a hug and shut the fuck up. Stop being so childish and stop arguing about which president's going to completely destroy this country. Because I've heard this from both sides, that if this guy wins, it's over for America. This isn't normal. This isn't the way it should be. Not for this country. And I'm only speaking up because as an American, I have the right to. And I know in a lot of countries, you don't have that right. You don't have the choice. For me to even speak up and talk shit about any candidate would completely, get me landed in prison or disappeared. There are places where you can't speak your mind. And as Americans, we do have an obligation to do so. Now, this is coming from a person who's not passionate about politics. Obviously, I don't have that much of an interest or a vested interest in who wins presidency, nor do I believe either party really has our best interests at heart. But that said, I am more of a liberal. I do lean left, but some of the policies that I may support or ideas I might support, I've been labeled a conservative by people who don't know me, which is pretty funny if you really, think about it. Because we live in a place where everyone has to follow now other people's protocol on what's normal. So, back in the day, if you disagreed with what a party was doing, your party, you could voice that disagreement, and it would just be, a disagreement. Nowadays, you're going against the party. People are so concerned about winning that it's all about beating the other guy. Every comment is about how to beat the other guy, right? Every ad is that somebody else is a threat. So anyway, it's the middle of summer. People should be thinking about enjoying themselves and trying to go on vacation and visit loved ones and do the things people do during the summer, but everybody's wrapped up in something that's going to happen in 4 months because everybody thinks there's an existential threat to this country. God, with the way the sirens go around here, you'd think there's a consistent existential threat to our entire city. Those who have watched my channel for a while know that it's kind of an ongoing thing. The sirens are like, it's like a joke. I could sit out here for a while and don't hear any, and then the minute I sit down to make a video, you know. But that's part of our society. We have ambulances, we have fire trucks, we have police. These are the social programs, and this is what I was getting at in the previous video before it cut off, that we're not capitalist and we're not socialist. We're, a kind of a neoliberal, crony capitalist country with socialist programs. It's like there's no particular definition you can give this experiment except the good old United States of America. And I love this country. I'm not a flag waving guy who's just patriotic just because. My grandfather and my father fought for this country, even if they were maybe fooled into doing so, at least during Vietnam. And I don't support the wars that our government gets us into for profit, and I don't support many of the policies that are put forward by either party. But what I do support is all of Americans still having a right to speak our mind and to be able to agree to disagree. And I'm just so sick and tired of the way that people treat each other online. If you picture like a comment section being put into a real life situation, people just don't talk like that to each other. In the real world, most people can get along and disagree and smile. And that's what we need more of. And this is why we need more long form podcasts and discussions. Um, Slow down, bro. Um, more discussions about these things where people can actually sit down and have a rational discussion without getting all heated and talking over each other, because those old discussions are just becoming so cliche. This is what the media does. They put three people up on the screen and on CNN or something, and they'll just be screaming over each other and calling each other names instead of like addressing topics. And that's exactly what's happening in elections now. Everybody's talking about beating the other guy instead of the actual issues at hand, and people are divided over who has the best interests at heart. And meanwhile, I just want to inform you and remind you that none of those politicians in Washington, D.C. have your best interests at heart. The people in your community are probably the only ones that do or will, or would or could, if you give them the chance. In other words, friends, family, not just neighbors, but knowing people, meeting people, and being part of a community. And the internet has allowed us to believe that, you can have an online community that's just as supportive. Well, let me just tell you, when the rubber meets the road, when the shit really hits the fan, those people aren't going to come to save you or help you out. You need to build relationships with people around you. And the problem, in partially, is this epidemic of loneliness, as people call it. I think it's kind of overstated. I think that folks have convinced themselves that they need to always be with somebody. Having alone time's important too. Being able to know yourself and be with yourself. But when people don't have others to bounce ideas off of and companionship, then they can go a little nuts and get extreme, because they can get radicalized by people who they think and like them or love them, whatever it might be. And the internet is a perfect place for that. So I'll just put it this way: I care about people. I don't know what to do to help people, so all I can do is just talk on the internet and just give my voice and hope that somebody out there maybe hears something I say that benefits them in some way, because I want to see my fellow man do well. I want to see all of us do well together. All of the efforts our forefathers have brought forward, our grandparents, our parents, the hard work they've done was supposed to make an easier life and future for the children. And instead, it's 4 times more to buy a house, can't afford basic groceries or gas, and folks are upset, and rightfully so. But how to address the issue is not fighting with each other. It's pointing the finger in the right place. The multinational corporations that move everything overseas, or it's not about who you voted for. Maybe a part of it, but it's not all of it. And I think that we could do better. Lucy, my dog's biting her butt. Don't bite your butt. Anyway, maybe it's a peace offering, just to say, please stop fighting amongst yourselves about things that aren't that important. They may not seem trivial by the way that Fox News or CNN, depending on which side you listen to, may portray something as being an existential threat, and shame on them for doing so. But we need to have honest discussions about these things, not just fight amongst ourselves. And fortunately, I see a leaf turning, that people are tired of the bullshit, and that now there are a lot more rational discussions being promoted, and that's a good thing. It's a really good start. So keep it up, people, and just try to get along with each other as best we can. I mean, we deserve better. Maybe we don't. I'm saying it depends on, George Carlin had a different opinion on that, but we get what we deserve. But the problem is that we don't all think the same way, and some of us need a representative we respect, and they're not putting anybody on the table, at least this election cycle, that I have any interest in whatsoever. But am I surprised? Absolutely not. Here we are, 2024, and we're about as progressive as a snail. So with that said, thanks for listening. I may or may not post the full version here on of my podcast on the podcast, and if you don't subscribe to the podcast, do so. It's called 15-Minute Free Thinking, and it's on all the platforms. I pay to have it hosted on Spotify and Apple and all that. Don't use it very often, but I'm trying to upload more. And also, thanks to all my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to donate, you can go to Patreon, Carpo719, or you can donate through PayPal. And I appreciate all of you taking the time to listen to what I have to say. No ads, no commercials. Can't do that shit. Just want to have a pure train of thought. And what else? That's about it. Y'all take care now. Take care of each other. Just try to give a shit about each other, Even people that you might not think that you respect. Because ultimately, if I can just say briefly, it's like the right and left hemispheres of the brain. You need both of them to function normally. Just like losing one wing of a bird, it just spirals to the ground. We need different lines of thought. And we've seen this continuously over and over, that extremes will always form, but somewhere near the middle is where people meet and rotate ideas, and we figure out what's best for all people. And we need to act like adults about it. So fuck, I don't even know what an adult is anymore. They seem to act like children more of the time. Well, money talks, right? It all comes down to money. Anything sensationalist will make money. Division sells. And we need to stop encouraging selling division, because it's not working out for us very well. Our country is losing ground. Our people are becoming upset and depressed and not able to afford the things that they want to live or to need to live. And I want to see it improve. I really do. For my kids' sake. Having a teenager that's worried about the future is, it's like, by the time he's my age, the house will be $1 million, Anyway, thoughts from the Carpo, and I'm out. I'll talk to y'all next time. Be well. Take care of each other. Don't forget to smile and just be as chill as you can. Be able to conquer that stress. Don't worry about it. 90% of the shit we worry about never actually happens, they say, so don't worry about it.